Welcome back to Truth Crime Podcast. I'm your host Samuel, and today we're diving into a significant development that has captured international attention: the arrest of pro-Biafra agitator Simon Ekpa in Finland. A district court in Finland has ordered his remand on suspicion of public incitement to commit a crime with terrorist intent. This decision comes after the Finnish Central Criminal Police brought him before the court, linking him to ongoing violence in Nigeria's southeast region, a situation that has escalated dramatically in recent years. Crime Commissioner Uto Hiltunen stated that authorities suspect Simon Ekpa has been promoting violent activities from Finland, which have resulted in tragic consequences for civilians back home. In fact, Tunen revealed that there are 4 other suspects in Finland believed to be financing Ekpa's operations. Our sources in the eastern part of Nigeria have testified to the devastating impact of Simon Ekpa's group, which has been linked to numerous killings, including those of security operatives. Reports indicate that under his leadership, violence against civilians and law enforcement has surged, with security posts frequently targeted and many lives lost. Witnesses have recounted how his followers have enforced illegal sit-at-home orders, resulting in attacks on those who defy them. Interestingly, reports indicate that Simon Ekpa is originally from Lahti, a city in Finland, but he has Nigerian roots. This isn't his first brush with the law. He was previously arrested in February 2023, but released the same day. Meanwhile, Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa expressed satisfaction with Ekpa's arrest, viewing it as a crucial step toward his potential extradition to Nigeria to face justice. The Chief of Defense Staff has consistently called for Ekpa's arrest due to his involvement in fueling terrorism in southeast Nigeria and is pleased that the international community is collaborating with Nigeria in its fight against terrorism. This news brings mixed feelings. While it's certainly significant that Simon Ekpa has been arrested and remanded, the real question is what actions the Nigerian government will take next. This administration has made efforts to collaborate with other nations to mitigate the damage caused by terrorists, especially in the southeast region, where violence has devastated communities. The southeast was once described as the Japan or China of West Africa. But now innocent people are being gruesomely killed almost every Monday due to violence linked to these groups. Just recently in Anambra State, 5 individuals were murdered on a Monday, some of whom were vigilantists working alongside security agencies. While many may celebrate this arrest as a victory, I will only feel satisfied if Simon Ekpa is formally extradited to Nigeria and held accountable for his actions. It's crucial that he no longer has the ability to issue commands from abroad that fuel violence and unrest. Absolutely. IPOB has been trying to separate itself from some of the violent activities attributed to them. They have publicly stated their opposition to Simon Ekpa's methods and actions. However, it remains challenging for them to completely exonerate themselves, since many still associate them with IPOB due to their shared objectives. Now, let's talk about the potential extradition of Simon Ekpa. What diplomatic hurdles do you foresee, given his Finnish citizenship and his alleged involvement in international terror activities? That's indeed a significant challenge. As a citizen of Finland, any extradition would depend heavily on diplomatic relations between Nigeria and Finland. The Nigerian government must leverage international agreements and conventions against terrorism that advocate for accountability. The proof required for extradition must be robust and compelling. Nigeria needs to present concrete evidence demonstrating Ekpa's involvement in financing terrorism and inciting violence back home. If they fail to provide solid documentation and witness testimonies linking him directly to these crimes, securing his extradition will be difficult. You mentioned earlier that this isn't his first arrest. He was released previously due to lack of evidence. What makes this case different? The urgency is greater now. The Nigerian government must act swiftly while he is still under remand in Finland. They need to gather sufficient evidence and work closely with Finnish authorities during this period. If they can establish a strong case against him based on his alleged activities, especially those documented on social media, this could strengthen their position for extradition. While many are excited about his arrest, I remain cautious until we see concrete actions taken by the Nigerian government. The Southeast has been deeply affected by these violent acts. People are afraid to return home or even visit their families due to fear of violence. What do you think could happen next? Will this arrest lead to any significant changes in security dynamics within Nigeria? While Simon Ekpa's arrest is a step forward, we must remember that insecurity in the Southeast is multifaceted and deeply rooted in various issues beyond one individual's actions. His arrest alone won't resolve these problems overnight. If we look at historical precedents, like when different terrorist groups fought among themselves for control over territories, we might see some shifts if factions within these groups begin infighting as well. However, whether this will happen as a result of Ekpa's arrest remains uncertain. The broader context involves addressing underlying grievances within communities and providing effective governance and security solutions that can restore peace and stability. The Nigerian government must act decisively and strategically now that they have this opportunity presented by his remand in Finland. They should utilize diplomatic channels effectively while also gathering all necessary evidence against him. It's essential not only for justice, but also for restoring faith among citizens who have suffered greatly due to terrorism in the Southeast region. If they can successfully bring him back home and hold him accountable, it could serve as a powerful message against impunity and encourage others involved in similar activities to reconsider their actions. If Simon Ekpa is extradited to Nigeria, he may face consequences that could be even more severe than those experienced by Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB. Kanu has been in custody since his arrest in 2021 and is facing multiple charges, including terrorism and treasonable felony. The Nigerian government has long sought to hold him accountable for his actions, which have included inciting violence and promoting separatism. With IPOB publicly distancing itself from Simon Ekpa, labeling him a destructive agent, the implications for Ekpa could be dire. IPOB's spokesperson has stated that he was never a registered member of their organization and has accused him of recruiting violent criminals to destabilize the Southeast region. This disavowal by IPOB may weaken any potential support Ekpa could have relied on from the group, leaving him isolated as he faces serious charges. Given that Ekpa has been linked to numerous violent incidents in the region, including attacks on security operatives and civilians, his extradition could lead to a swift legal process aimed at addressing these allegations. The Nigerian authorities have expressed their determination to prosecute him for his alleged role in promoting terrorism and inciting violence through social media. Simon Ekpa has played a significant role in the escalation of violence in the southeastern region of Nigeria through his leadership of a faction of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, and his activities on social media. Here are the key aspects of his involvement. Mentioning Jessica Abrams, she's a violent protester. Together with two of his BJPCF guys, Ekpa has been accused of inciting violence against civilians and security forces. He has publicly justified the use of violence, claiming it is a form of self-defense against government attacks. For instance, he stated, "I support violence against Nigerian government forces. It is a matter of self-defense to spread separatism, propaganda, and incite violence." His messages have reportedly reached hundreds of thousands, encouraging followers to engage in violent acts and enforce illegal sit-at-home orders that have led to numerous casualties. 3. Ekpa's directives for sit-at-home protests have resulted in significant unrest, with reports indicating that many residents who defy these orders face violent reprisals from armed groups associated with him. This has contributed to a climate of fear and insecurity in the region, leading to attacks on individuals and security personnel alike. 4. Formation of armed groups. He has declared himself the Prime Minister of the Biafra government in exile and established an armed faction known as the Biafra Liberation Army. This group has been implicated in various violent incidents, including attacks on police stations and military checkpoints. 5. Disavowal by IPOB. Following his arrest, IPOB officially distanced itself from Ekpa, labeling him a destructive agent. Who has recruited violent criminals to destabilize the region? They emphasized that he was never a registered member of their organization, which aims for peaceful advocacy for Biafra's independence through non-violent means. The Nigerian government's response to IPOB's disavowal of Simon Ekpa has been one of support for the group's distancing from him, while simultaneously pressing for his extradition. Following IPOB's declaration that Ekpa is a destructive agent and not affiliated with their organization, the government has seized this opportunity to reinforce its narrative against Ekpa and his faction. IPOB's statement emphasized that Ekpa was never a registered member of their group and condemned his actions as harmful to the peaceful movement for Biafra's independence. This disavowal aligns with the Nigerian government's stance, which has long sought to portray IPOB as a legitimate movement, while dissociating it from the violence associated with Ekpa and his activities. The defense headquarters has expressed satisfaction with Ekpa's arrest in Finland, viewing it as a potential step towards his extradition to Nigeria. They believe that this will allow for legal action against him for his alleged role in promoting violence and terrorism through social media. The Chief of Defense Staff has publicly stated that Ekpa's actions have led to significant harm in Nigeria, reinforcing the government's position that he is a menace to national security. Moreover, the Nigerian government is likely to leverage IPOB's disavowal of Ekpa in diplomatic discussions with Finnish authorities, emphasizing that his actions do not represent the broader Biafran movement. This strategy aims to mitigate any potential backlash against IPOB while ensuring that Ekpa is held accountable for his alleged crimes. In summary, the Nigerian government is responding to IPOB's disavowal of Simon Ekpa by supporting their stance while simultaneously pushing for his extradition, framing him as a threat to national security and distancing the legitimate Biafran movement from his violent actions. And thank you all for tuning into Truth Crime podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and stay updated on our latest episodes as we continue exploring pressing issues affecting our world today.